coming out.
Yeah. You're going to talk about this right here?
Oh, we can.
Talk about the badass new pump. Oh.
Yeah. Well, the 2-for-1 would be Steve Morris just did some videos, and I think both of them got over 100,000 views within 48 hours.
Wow.
We've been wanting to do a titanium billet converter for about a decade and a half. About 15 years ago, we were looking into it. The cost of titanium is ever changing. And at the time we looked at it first, you was looking at a converter that was going to be somewhere in the $50,000 range for one torque converter. And at that time I was like, I didn't have that in my race car,
Right.
So it just wasn't feasible. And so we didn't even make a prototype. But we never got it out of our mind, and we've been wanting to do it. We brought back the Billet Titanium drive cover 2 years ago, which I think that was kind of a tip off to some people. And then we came out with the all titanium converter. Those of you who follow Steve Morris, he's got this really heavy car. I think it's like somewhere under 4,000 pounds, 3,800 pounds, something like that, with a twin turbo SMX motor that makes well over 5,000 horsepower. And on top of that, he pushes a 350 axle ratio. So that's kind of like trying to race your house. And the poor torque converter gets brutalized in that. So we thought, the ultimate test for this titanium converter would be put it in Steve Morris's car. If the power that Steve Morris makes pushing the weight of his vehicle with that much axle ratio doesn't destroy the converter, nothing can hurt it. So first we tested it on the dyno, and I didn't understand what he was telling me at first. He told me the thing dynoed like 4,200. In fact, he even said I stopped the dyno at 4,200 because my dyno wasn't really holding the power after that. And so the next conversation I had with him a few days later, I told him, I said, now that you've tested it on the dyno, we need you to test it at the racetrack. And I said, would you be willing to do that? He goes, oh, yeah. I said, so since you ran it on your dyno, do you want me to do anything different with it? Do you want me to make the stall higher or lower or change it? And he goes, no. He goes, I told you this thing made 4,200. I was like, so you didn't change the power? You didn't put more power to it? He goes, no, just change the converter. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that the power to the wheel was just the converter. I thought he was just jamming more boost to it or something. So he said, no, I'm going to try this just like it is at the racetrack. Then, of course, it took him several months because he's it's a very busy schedule. And to find a track that can hold that kind of power and be prepped well enough, it took him quite a while. So it was a significant lapse in time. But when he finally did get it to the track, he had to turn the power way, way down because this thing, it's yanking the wheels out of the bin. He's carrying the wheels until he lifts, and the front wheel's not even turning. You look at his race pad, front struts are topped out at 0.3 of a second. I mean, it's just snatching them out of the beams. And so he ends up making 3 passes and keeps pulling more power. And with no power in the car, he goes out and goes faster than he ever had. Went the fastest 60. That thing went a 1060 foot. Almost two tons of fun going 1060 foot.
Whoa!
You look at the numbers and you go, as soon as he gets that thing out next year and gets to, he'll have Skinny Kid tune the chassis and make that thing handle the power and keep the front end down. And when he does, that big old tank might go in the 3s. And if he does, NHRA is going to have a nuclear come apart. That much weight going in the 3s, it's going to be ridiculous. But anyways, we're real proud of Steve Morris. He did a great job testing that for us in the videos he makes. And when he did that, I even told him, I said, we planned on debuting this at PRI, but you did such a good job on your videos. We want you to go ahead and tell the public what it is. And that he revealed it was that titanium converter. It's still a very expensive part. It's not something that's going to be for everybody. Number one, the titanium converter was designed for turbo cars because you can't run the aluminum converter. So to get a lightweight alloy to take the temperature that turbo cars make, you got to have titanium. So the titanium is as light as the aluminum. A lot of people ask me, how much lighter is the titanium than aluminum? It's not. In fact, aluminum's lighter than the material. Aluminum is lighter than titanium, but with titanium, you don't have to have as much thickness. So they wind up about the same weight. So now the turbo cars can have a converter as light as the blower and nitrous guys do with the aluminum converter. And we made it in the new power pump version. The new power pump version was something we actually developed last winter. Tested it for the first time in Kenny Hubbard's X275 car last December. And he went back to back, even at 2 different tracks. He put his old converter back in, then the power pump version converter, and did it at 2 different tracks back to back, going back and forth from new style to old style converter. Significantly faster, no doubt about it. Different DAs, different tracks. It was just hands down faster. And so when we built the titanium for Steve Morris, we did it not only in titanium, but also in the power pump version. So the $1 million question is, how much does the converter cost? It's 25 grand for the all titanium converter. I know that's a really hefty price, but think about 15 years ago, it started out that thought that thing was going to be 50 grand. Really expensive, but for the Pro Mod team that's already spent tremendous money and they need that little extra, you know what it's worth to race at the highest possible level and to pick up a few numbers. It's worth its weight in gold or titanium.
Yep.